His dedication lies in cultivating transformative learning journeys that transcend barriers and amplify possibilities, particularly for learners from marginalized communities.
His journey encompasses collaborations with international organizations, steering curriculum improvements, and integrating technology to establish an educational landscape that is both inclusive and poised for the future.
At IGlow 2024, Dr. Seun Adebayo will be speaking on building sustainable social innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, let us make welcome Dr. Seun Adebayo.
Pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the wonderful introduction, and really appreciate the LUN team. I know Mr. Victor keeps saying I'm part of the team, but I know I'm not in the day-to-day running of the operations. I need to recognize and appreciate all the efforts and the team members working tirelessly and sacrificially to make LUN a success and with a great impact. I know I have about 20 minutes to speak on sustainable innovations, and maybe just to mention that I would like to just share a bit about my work, and hopefully we can get some ideas on how to have sustainability in our social innovations. The word sustainability is quite very huge, and it's something that even as an organization, I mean, UNHCR, in our work and our programming, we're still looking for ways to ensure that we have sustainable programming. I'm just going to share my slide briefly and then talk about the work that we do, particularly within the education section of the UN Refugee Agency. And I'm hoping that with this presentation, you're able to get some ideas and insights, and we can discuss further during the Q&A. So just want to kindly request if the host can grant me permission to share my screen.
All right, it's done.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so just gonna put on my screen. So please do let me know when I have about 5 to 10 minutes more. So I work with the UN Refugee Agency, and I work in the Connected Education team. We are like the education technology arm of the UN Refugee Agency, and we provide quality, equitable and quality education to refugees and forcibly displaced learners globally using education technology. We are based in the HQ here in Copenhagen in Denmark. So we call our own EdTech connected education, which is connecting refugees and forcibly displaced learners and communities, host communities, to quality education through technology, and kind of closing the digital divide, and then ensuring that refugees and communities that we serve are also included digitally, and increasing digital literacy in the communities that we work. So the problem is, owing to access and inclusion barriers, refugee hosting schools and communities are often not equipped with the digital skills, knowledge, and resources needed to foster learners who can succeed in an increasing digital world. So that's the problem that we have identified as UNHCR, and this is what we try to solve every day in our work. Our vision is to have all refugees and the communities that host them have access to relevant, equitable, accredited, and quality learning supported by connectivity and digital resources. We believe that to ensure sustainable development and continuous growth of the hosting communities, we need to empower refugees. Refugees carry a lot of potential, but they need that kind of platform and resources to be able to contribute. So our way of ensuring the sustainable growth and development of refugee hosting communities or countries is to empower refugees so that they can, at the end, contribute even to their new homes. Many refugees and forcibly displaced persons are fleeing from war, persecution, climate-related, challenges. So that's our vision. And this is the approach. These are the approaches that we we take in, in meeting the vision that we have set for ourselves, advocating for investment and inclusion that is aligned to the Global Compact for Refugees, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. Also sort of building partnerships, and I think partnership is very key. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, like just talking about sustainability from an abstract or theoretical point of view might not be useful for many of us that are social innovators or looking at how we can achieve sustainability. But I'll be making reference to how this, contributes to sustainability based on the case study of the work we do in UNHCR. So building partnership is one way that we have been able to sustain a lot of the projects that we embark on when it comes to delivering, quality and equitable education to refugees and possibly displaced persons. Also demonstrating the viability of new approaches in the field, producing public goods to aid the education sector, investing in capacity development for staff and partners. So these are our approaches in trying to make the vision that we have set for ourselves. UNHCR as an organization, we have the digital transformation strategy, and this strategy itself also informs the work that we do. The vision is for communities to have digital skills, knowledge, agency, and tools to safely engage in today's digital world to access inclusive services, to achieve greater self-reliance, protection, and to have a voice in the decisions that affect their lives. And the goal of this is to transform the way UNHCR works, innovating digitally to create efficiencies, improving knowledge sharing and collaboration, mobilize resources, and increase our impact. So as an organization, I'm sure we are all aware that there are quite a lot of crises, happening across the world. There's climate crises, there's war, there are disasters, and UNHCR is that organization that is mandated by United Nations to protect and to respond to the needs of refugees, asylum seekers, and people fleeing, for safety and persecution. So with the world going through several challenges, global challenges at the moment, as an organization, one of our ways to be sustainable is also to embrace digital transformation in our, overall, workflow and work planning. So that is also aligned with what we do within the education section through Connected Education. Now, this is our flagship program. It's called the Instant Network School, which we're in partner with Vodafone Foundation, and we are running this program in 6 countries. That's DRC, Egypt, Kenya, Mozambique, South Sudan, and Tanzania. So the Instant Network Schools, it's a comprehensive connected education initiative that transforms existing classrooms into connected learning centers for an audience of mixed age and skills in communities hosting refugee children in a context of limited resources. So with this Instant Network Schools, we kind of transform an ordinary classroom that, in a school that is hosting refugees into a digitally enabled classroom. We provide teacher training, and I work more specifically within the team as the pedagogical and digital inclusion lead. So I support with teacher training across the 6 countries and providing that necessary capacity for both staff and teachers within the Instant Network School program to deliver on connected learning. We also provide digital content that is aligned to the local curriculum, multimedia environment, and investment in sustainable energy sources. So we use a lot of solar, as we all know, and I'm going to talk about the challenges later, but electricity and connectivity is quite a lot of challenge. It's quite challenging in most of the refugee hosting communities. Like the 6 countries in which we are working, we have our Instant Network School program implemented. These are countries that have their internal challenges, and there are also countries with low resources. So we investing in sustainable energies like having solar. So most of the schools that host the Instant Network Schools have solar panels that generate electricity for the schools, and in some cases even for the communities, as a way of sustainable sustainable electrification. We also have another program under Connected Education. This is called the Profuturo Foundation. It's in partnership with Profuturo. Profuturo is based in the Spanish organization, supported by Telefonica. And similar to the Insta Network schools I just presented earlier in the previous slide, we also developed, connected education for primary schools for refugee children. So at the moment, Insta Network schools target secondary school students. So we have this Profuturo as a program that targets primary schools, and we have it in 3 countries as we speak, in Rwanda, Nigeria, Zimbabwe. So the partnership was introduced in Rwanda with 15 schools. The partnership was introduced in Nigeria with 5 schools and 4 schools in Zimbabwe. And then we have 25,000 plus students that have benefited for INS. There was a graph of type of impact. More than 300,000 students have been reached with INS. So that's why it's our flagship program. So, but the Profuturo, we're also doing very similar. It's also similar. Tablets are provided for primary school students and teachers, and teacher training and content also provided. So in total, we have about 24 schools that we have the Profuturo program. Now, what are the key challenges? I'd mentioned earlier, the first is connectivity. This remains a challenge in host communities and in discussion, and we are always in discussion with partners to resolve the issue. I'm going to talk about some of these partners. So for us now we have about more than 10 or 15 countries that we are providing connected education programming and support across the world, and connectivity continues to be the major challenge, connectivity, internet access, and the likes. So we are working with several partners as a way of building, sustainable connectivity. And like I did mention, part of our vision aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals, with the deadline of 2030. It's very close. So there's a need for us to, invest more in building meaningful partnerships. Another challenge that we have within the connected education programming is solar maintenance that requires further engagement with solar power consultants to support maintenance. In other words, having locally based, because sometimes we have to, get, consultants flying in to provide that sort of maintenance. So as a way of as a way of achieving sustainability, we're also looking at, enabling and, training, local professionals that can provide such maintenance. We also have the inclusion of special needs education, or special needs to support children with special needs. And we are working with Vodafone Foundation to carry out, to have adaptive tools that can be mapped into the INS platform. Curriculum alignment is also a key challenge, having content that is aligned with the national curriculum. The global UNHCR education strategy is to ultimately have refugees integrated into the national, system of their host country. That's also our own way of sustainability when it comes to the long-term education of refugees and asylum seekers, and so that they're able to integrate into the national system of their host countries. So to do that, we need to have curriculum, content that is available to refugees aligned with the national curriculum of the host country for them to be able to integrate easily into the national education system. The high turnover of coaches and teachers requires continuous capacity building and training. A lot of refugee teachers, for example, that work within our connected education program, they don't have the skills or the experiences. So we constantly have to do training, working with the country team, have to provide this training to them. And the last challenge is also sustainability. It's still a challenge, even while we are putting in measures and, exploring different ways that we can, ensure sustainability in our social innovation, as you may see, is a lack of predictable and long-term financing, integrating into national priorities and planning and co-design. So these are the challenges that we have identified, and we can see some ideas on our approaches towards ensuring sustainability of this program. now some of the additional efforts that we have put in place to ensure sustainability is to work with partners. And one of the partners that we have is Learning Equality. And so we partner with Learning Equality, using their platform, Colibri Fly. They provide content. I talked about content that is, aligned with the national curriculum. As UNHCR, we're a small team at the global office, the HQ office supporting, country teams across the world. There's very, limited responses that we can give when the demand is high. So we have Learning Equality that sort of, help us, to improve access to quality education through, content that are relevant and adapted relevant and then aligned with the national curriculum. So we also have Giga. Now, Giga, we partner with Giga. Giga is a UNICEF initiative connecting, every school to the internet. So Giga has this project whereby they are mapping all the schools and ensuring that, every school is connected to the internet. So we work with Giga to include refugee hosting schools as part of their, connectivity programming. And with this, we're able to kind of reduce the cost and the sustainability when it comes to internet connectivity to many of the schools that we have hosting refugees. Some of the other challenges, okay, so part of it, as an organization, when we identified the challenges, we came up with the Refugee Connected Education Challenge. And this is also to kind of, as a form of advocacy. So sustainability is also possible when we have a strong, message and an advocacy plan. So as part of our advocacy, we came up with the Refugee Connected Education Challenge, where we kind of, meet partners that can make, commitments and pledge to ensure that refugee hosting schools and communities are meaningfully, included with all global and national connectivity and digital learning programs. So it's like a call to action for society stakeholders, government, private sector, and partners to make strong financial, technical, and in-kind commitments to help narrow the digital divide faced by forcibly displaced learners. We also have the Connected Higher Education, which is targeted towards, refugees, possibly displaced, learners, transiting into tertiary education. So we provide that kind of support for them. And this is also done through the Connected Learning in Crisis Consortium, which is a consortium of universities and NGOs and foundations supporting refugees to access higher education through connected learning. And these are the processes that we also embark on to ensure that there is continuity when it comes to the education of refugees. We have the primary program, we have secondary program. That we also want refugees, to be able to access tertiary education and, be able to, compete in the labor market or have access to job opportunities, thereby contributing ultimately to their new homes and their hosting society or countries. Part of ensuring sustainability of the connected education program is, aligning our work with the overall digital transformation strategy of UNHCR. The education section is one section under a division. So for many of us that may not be familiar with the UN system, it's quite a very bureaucratic system with different divisions, unit teams. And so for us, we ensure that we are aligned with the UNHCR transformation strategy, and we have put on a theory of change to put a strategy into action within my team. Also strengthening monitoring. Monitoring and evaluation is quite key to ensure that a program is sustainable over a long period of time. Evaluation, similar research publications. We also publish a lot of our findings and lessons, reflections from implementing the programs. And this kind of helps with our feasibility and advocacy to get more support. When, partners understand what you're doing, then you are able to convince them to be part of the journey for a long haul. We also have the knowledge management, where we, the connected education website of the UNHCR. We upload a lot of content and materials and resources that are useful to anyone working within this space. Now, as I close, my reflection so far, just, my background is in education, and my doctorate was looking at equity, digital inclusion, and pedagogy, working with marginalized communities. So I've been looking at the issues of equity, equality, and sustainability for quite a long time. And with my professional and academic background, my reflection so far is that the COVID-19 pandemic, exacerbated a lot of inequalities in education, highlighting the need to address issues of equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And then understanding the difference between equality, which is treating everyone the same, and equity, addressing diverse needs, is crucial for educators navigating digital inclusion strategies, challenges, or sustainability. And achieving digital equity requires not only equal access to technology, but also addressing unique barriers faced by marginalized communities, which means that we need to look beyond the surface, but have a more holistic, responses. And then teachers play a key role in promoting equity in the education, but a holistic approach involving all stakeholders is essential for meaningful progress. And then on sustainability, in summary, we need to recognize the interconnectedness. Like I said, this is a case study of education and digital inclusion. So recognizing the interconnectedness of digital inclusion, equity, and sustainable development goals, particularly SDG 4, which aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for all. So which means that, looking at the different aspects of, depending on what kind of, social innovation that you are into, but looking at the different, stakeholders and areas, and looking at the relationship between this will help us to, get to that place where we have a sustainable, plan in place. And also important to understand that achieving digital equity is not just about providing equal access to technology, but like I mentioned, also addressing the unique barriers faced by marginalized communities, thereby promoting social and economic sustainability. So we believe, for example, in my work, that once we're able to provide refugees and their families with quality education, equip them with the tools and the resources, and grant them access to opportunities, they can ultimately contribute to the economic development and not be, an added pressure to the hosting communities or their new countries. And finally, we need to emphasize the need for sustained commitment and collaborative efforts from all stakeholders, including policymakers, educators, parents, and communities to create lasting change in the education system. One of the principles that we abide in our work is co-design. Co-design is a way of designing programs and plans with everyone involved, including the beneficiaries. So that helps us also in thinking around sustainability. We get everyone involved in the design and implementation of our programs. Thank you very much, and happy to respond to any question that you may have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Seun.